In today's episode of the Path One Presents podcast, I'm with Mario Hernández, and he's the founder and CEO at Impesa. It's a fintech company, and today we're going to be learning, the problems that Impesa is solving for end users, but also for banks and financial institutions. And today we're going to be learning how this is all working together. Mario has been on quite a journey. It's been with Impesa and founded Impesa nearly 10 years ago. I think we're not there quite yet, but we're just hitting the 10-year mark. So Mario, almost. Mario, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me here. It's been indeed a great journey. So I've been in banking for over 25 years. The last 6 years, I was CEO of a regional bank. And I started thinking about starting this company in terms of payments, which is what I had most experience in. And I just love payments. It's just such an amazing industry within the bank or within any banks. So you almost have every single bank with a separate credit card company, which is the one that does all the payments. And that's what I did. I found a niche very specific for the companies, for the commercial segment, and we started growing. And it came a point where I had to take the really tough decision to either stay and run the bank or run my own company, which at that point had grown just beyond our wildest dreams. And it's been a great journey since 2012.
So maybe tell us a little bit about that initial problem that you identified, or that initial niche, and then sort of, what M-Pesa is today and, what it solves for customers.
So it's kind of a long story, but what I wanted to do was really to have a credit card company. And at that moment, you can imagine that, you need funding to have a credit card company. So I identified the need that the companies had, because companies were not using credit cards. And I just was wondering why they don't use credit cards. And the reason is because they lack controls. They don't want to give a credit card to a truck driver, or they don't want to give a credit card to someone who can buy stuff, or they can pull money out of an ATM. So the companies were giving cash to their employees whenever they traveled, and they didn't give a credit card because they didn't want to give them a PIN, or they were using other types of ways to their truck drivers to put gas on the trucks, for example, just to give a couple of examples. So we introduced the controls concept, and we created the first cards that you could control. That started growing into, okay, now the companies can have a credit card that they can control, but they want now to integrate with their accounting systems. And so we developed an accounting integration with companies like SAP or Oracle. And then they wanted to have dual approval. So if someone changes a policy on the website, then someone else will have to approve it. And then we created groups. And so the product just started growing and growing. And when we started, I needed to raise money, and I lived in the U.S. And when you're in the U.S., you hear all these romantic stories that someone raised money in a restaurant just signing a napkin and raised $10 million for an idea. And here in Costa Rica it's a little bit different, because raising money, the culture is not there. So we needed to raise $1 million. My brother and I, my brother's is our co-founder, and we started trying to raise money, and it was just a pain. We spent almost 2 years knocking on different doors, trying to raise $1 million. And when we finally did it, we were extremely happy. And, the rest is history. We became a Visa principal member. We're the first non-financial institution to have a Visa license. So we are issuers and we're acquirers. We became PCI's DSS certified, even though we didn't need it. Because we wanted to eventually go after the US market. and it's our 4th year that we've been PCI DSS certified. We are part of the central bank. We were the first non-financial, non-regulated company, non-banking institution that became part of the ACH for the central bank. So, we are in 5 countries. We work with over 35 different, the largest banks, definitely the largest banks in the region. Mm-hmm. And it's been an amazing, amazing adventure.
I see. So when you're working with the banks, like, what are maybe the use cases, or what is the type of people within the banks that actually say, okay, we should be working with Impesa? Like, what is the use case, and what is, is that, what type of people actually, are interested in using Impesa as from a B2B side?
I would say that we've had lots of different experiences. Mm-hmm. For example, recently, a couple of months ago, we met with 2 CEOs of 2 major banks in Panama. And the decision-making process, when they saw our tool, when they saw our references, what we did, that we were backed by Visa, and all that stuff, we closed a deal in literally a matter of 2 weeks. There's other banks that the decision-making process has taken up to 3 years. Mm-hmm. So I think it all depends on who you talk to. The typical person, or at least the person that I would think that would be the most interested in this product, would be the commercial banker, because bankers typically sell what they typically sell, which is lines of credit, which is a commodity, because the bank next door sells credit at the same interest rate, and this credit is money, so that's a commodity. They sell cash management, FX, performance bonds, and all the typical commercial stuff. And with our product, it's just a much more easier sell. You don't have to negotiate commissions. It's much more profitable, like 10 times more profitable than selling a commercial loan. And that would be the normal or typical person to talk to in a bank.
Yep, makes a whole lot of sense. Now, what I'm curious is, how do people, let's say bankers, learn about Impesa? I'm basically wondering about sort of the journey of somebody, getting started. You mentioned it can be a very long process, but sort of what are the client acquisition channels that you've identified for such a more complex product that requires a lot of explanation and also implementation? What's the client acquisition channels that you are betting on?
So we are MoneyBite, which is the product that I just talked to you about. Mm-hmm. Is not the only product that we have. So we have 2 models. We have B2B, where we service the banks, and then we have B2C. For us, in terms of promoting our products, we use a lot of the typical social networks for specific promotions. But if someone wants to learn about Impesa or about our products, we use our website is a very, very important tool. That's our face to the world. Mm-hmm. And we spend a lot of resources in making sure that we have our website updated, and that people can learn as much as they can on our website. We have not only MoneyBite, which is one of our products, where the banks can go and they can learn how to, what is it that we do, or what are the benefits that our products provide. But we also have another product that we launched about 2 years ago. We did an alliance with PayPal, and mm-hmm. we created a product that's called Get Kipo, and customers go to our website. They create their account online, and there's where they perform all their features. We don't have yet a mobile version of that product, because the user experience is not, I think it's not designed for, or it's not so much for mobile as it is for for web. So
Yep.
website is very important for us.
Yeah, you mentioned actually the products, maybe so that the listeners can have a full picture. Would you mind to quickly just name the products and kind of give a one sentence overview so that people can create the full picture as we're going through the interview?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have MoneyBite, which is the product that we launched when we created the company. That's the card control system. Then we created the MoneyBite app, which is for retail segment. So on the app, you don't have the group management, you don't have the dual approval, but you have the controls for persons, where you can control your cards, or my son's card or my wife's card, or driver, and you also can create a budget. You also have P2P, so I can transfer money from my wallet to another person's wallet. So that's why it's more B2C. That's our other product, MoneyBite app. And we have another product that's called Kipo that we launched with PayPal, where local merchants can sell their products to the world, and then they receive PayPal as payment, and then they bring money into to the financial system in Costa Rica, and then we disperse it to any bank that they want. So those are the three main products that we have at this moment.
Very cool. Yeah, that helps our visitors to get a full picture of this. You mentioned that the website is key, right? How do you, as a sort of, as a CEO and founder who, I don't know how much you're involved with the actual website, how do you look at this? Like, what do you see as a major strength versus where do you see major room for improvement on the website?
So my role as CEO of this company is very different than the role that I had when I was running a bank. Because when you're running a bank, you have a big structure and you have a very broad overview of everything. Here, in this company, I have to learn to do everything. So I don't like micromanaging, but unfortunately, sometimes you need to you just roll your sleeves and start working with the coders or developers. So I'm fully aware of what's going on our website. We have great people working on it. And that's something that I just I like taking a look at it very, very often. Like sometimes I just go late at night, I'm just in my house, instead of watching TV, I'm looking at the website and I'm just taking screenshots and sending it to our developers or to our marketing people. Hey guys, I think this should be here, and well, why don't we change this? This message is outdated. We need to change something. And that's sort of the dynamic that we have towards our website, and everybody's looking at it.
Very cool. I mean, it's not very often that you hear a CEO to be that, rolling up their sleeves and then going into that depth there. I think that's pretty cool. Awesome.
Yeah, you have to do it.
Very good. Let's switch gears a little bit. As we're slowly approaching the end of the interview, I would love to get to know you a little bit better as a CEO and founder. So, there's a lot of content out there, right? That you could, read and learn about how to run a company, how to steer a company, and how to grow a company. Like, what's the sources that you trust, that you rely on, where you read, and educate yourself further? What's the platforms or the people or the peer groups? What do you do in order to keep on educating yourself?
So I get a lot of different kinds of emails, and so you have to be very selective, and just because it's very easy to there's an ocean of information. I read the Financial Times. I get news from the Wall Street Journal. I get news from CNBC, the application, just knowing what's going on in the markets. I've been lately reading a lot about Bitcoin, or not Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies. And that's something that I was trying to stay away from. But as the more I read about it, the more, I think that, okay, this is something that you need to pay attention to, and bankers especially need to pay attention to, because as a former banker, I can tell you that if you read about Bitcoin, you will be pretty scared of what's going to happen, because there are transactions going on out there that are not going through the banks. And eventually, as a banker, you say, oh, where the hell is the money? And then there's no money on my bank accounts. So it's very interesting. So, I try to read at least, at least 2 hours per day, very early in the morning or late at night. And, try to be selective, as I told you, with what sources of information you get, because there's also a lot of fake news and not so good analysis. I try to find sources where you can get really, really good analysis. Visa sends a lot of information as well, white papers. And for example, today that I told you I'm traveling to Vegas, I have my iPad with 4 or 5 articles that I haven't had time to read, and I'm just going to spend some time reading it.
Very cool. We don't want to hold you off much longer from the trip to Vegas. So going to wrap it up with 3 rapid fire questions. Are you ready for those?
Yeah, go ahead.
What's the one thing that your company is focused on the most at the moment?
I would say always innovation. Just questioning ourselves if what we are doing may be disrupted by another technology. And if the answer is yes, then we will create that technology, and we should be willing to disrupt our own tools, if that makes sense.
If there would be no boundaries in tech, what's the one thing you would fix for your role?
For my what? Sorry?
For your role, like as a founder and CEO, there's no boundaries. What's the one single thing you would fix?
Oh my God. All the different channels of communication and the ways that you get communications from. So today you have WhatsApp, you have emails, you have video conference on Zoom, on Teams, on Google Meet. And sometimes if you're trying to find something, you say, okay, where did I get this? Did I get it on Zoom, on Teams, on WhatsApp, somebody? So, it would be so much easier if you have one repository where you can find everything. I try to concentrate everything on email still, but there's people that love WhatsApp, for example.
And the very last question would be, if today would be your very first day working on Impesa, what is the one advice you would give yourself?
Oh, that's a great question. Let me see. I think it's been a great adventure. I don't regret a single moment. I think that it's been the best decision that I made. I would probably say to myself, learn to say no faster. Because it's very easy to deviate, where you get all these different opportunities in fintech. Somebody comes with a great idea, and then you need to focus while at the same time learning what's going on out there. So you don't miss an opportunity, but at the same time, you need to be very focused, and you need to learn to say, no, this is not what we do. Somebody else should do it, and I'll pass on this opportunity.
All right. Thanks a lot for being a guest on Platform Presents.
Thank you so much for the invitation. It's been great to be here.